So hi, today's guest, all the way from Massachusetts. She's had 4 fights, 3 wins, 1 draw. Her name, Shayna Foppiano. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I cannot complain. You're looking like just so positive and happy. It's good to see your face.
Thank you very much. I'm feeling very positive and happy. I have a fight coming up and I feel very grateful for that opportunity. So couldn't be better.
I know, I saw that, 13th of March.
Yes, correct.
Uh, do you have an opponent yet?
So we had an opponent. She dropped out and we are working on the new opponent now, and hopefully we'll get the contract soon. So I don't want to say anything quite yet until things are finalized, but things are looking good. You know how that can go. So it's for the best just to kind of wait till everything's signed and official.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really want to tempt fate, but it is my job to try and sneak it out of you, massage you into giving me answers.
That's fair. I understand that.
But yeah, I mean, it's great that you're getting out there. So wasn't your last fight the last year, March time as well? So about a year out of the ring.
So it was actually January 2020. So just about right before COVID hit us pretty hard. So I was very lucky. I slipped that right in.
Talk to me about that fight. Was it Crystal Byers? I got
Yes.
that right.
Yes, correct. So that was Crystal Byers. That was my 3rd fight, and it was a 4-round fight. She was a tough girl from Ohio, and yeah, she came to fight, so it was good. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
One thing I've noticed about you already is that you have a very, very, very good engine.
Thank you. Thank you very much. My coach is very he's very adamant about making sure that we're conditioned, all the fighters. So we train 24-minute rounds. So I usually, obviously, as you know, fight 2-minute rounds. So training 4-minute rounds, making sure we're in peak physical condition is very important, I think. So yeah, thank you for noticing that.
Oh, yes, I did notice that. I mean, you totally, the old saying, train hard, fight easy.
Yes, absolutely. That is something I like to live by. Absolutely.
Yeah, fair play to you. So you came into the game quite late though, didn't you? 21 years of age. I mean, you're not very old, but in terms of coming into the game, 21 years of age. Talk to me about the reasons why you were drawn to boxing.
So I was drawn to boxing because I had a lot of anger and just like emotional. I had a lot of anxiety, a lot of built up stress from a young age, and it wasn't really something I understood at the time. But my mom noticed actually that I had some stuff going on, and she recommended, hey, why don't you go punch something, with no intention of me fighting, but with every intention of just trying to help me, self-regulate and calm myself down a little bit. And it worked, but unfortunately I fell in love and I was hooked. I was absolutely hooked with the way it made me feel. Finally felt confidence in myself, and I finally felt some stress and anxiety off of my shoulders, and that was just such an empowering feeling. So it was something I just wasn't ready to let go, and still so.
Yeah, I totally, even just hearing you say it, seeing your face, I think a lot of people don't understand it. It just takes a hold of you, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's just you feel like a totally different person, and you finally get clarity on your life and who you are. And I didn't have any I didn't know where I was going in life. I was kind of just like a kid who I didn't love school, which, I'll get a little bit more into later, but I didn't really love school. So I tried to go to college, and that just wasn't for me. And I said, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where I'm heading. I was kind of a kid with no direction. And getting into boxing helped me understand who I was and the direction that I wanted to head. And so it really did change my life in so many ways.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's really beautiful because people don't understand. I think it's harder for people to understand why women come to the sport. And in my experience, most women that come to the sport usually come because they're trying to keep fit, or there's other stuff that's going on that they're drawn to the sport, and then they develop into athletes. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
But were you, in any other martial art before that, or were you any other sport? Because I have seen a picture, and it's very cute. Of you in your cheerleading outfit.
Yes. So I was always into sports. Growing up, I played softball, I played basketball, I ran track. I was the QB of the high school female football team, which was pretty cool, a quarterback. And I also cheerleaded for probably 6 or 7 years. So very long time, but never in any other martial art before. So boxing was my first.
Yeah, okay. So you go to your boxing gym for the first time, new environment. I mean, did you find it quite difficult to kind of go into an environment where there were all men, and were you accepted easily or not?
Yeah, so I was introduced to my coach by a family friend, and at the time, he was just kind of like, yeah, cool, come in, work out with us. Everyone was very welcoming, very kind. Of course, at that point, I still didn't know that this is something that I wanted to do competitively. So I had every intention of just kind of going in and getting to know everyone, and building friendships, and just being part of the team and getting a good workout in. But once I started getting really involved and I started sparring, and my coach was a little bit apprehensive about bringing me into that world. He had a few world champions in the past. He's like old in the game. He's been in the game for a very long time, but kind of expressed to me that he wasn't very comfortable training a woman, which obviously has changed, but he wasn't very comfortable training a woman at the time. He never had, and he only trained professional fighters. So it was something that I knew I had to break through to get him to accept me and get him to be willing to take me to that next level. So that's kind of when the grind really started, because when someone tells me I can't do something, I am like, it lights a fire in me. Like I'm in it to win it. So that sparked that in me. He eventually realized, wow, okay, you know what? She's got a lot of heart. She wants this. I'm going to put the time in, and I'm going to give her a chance. He ended up giving me a chance, but he did tell me, I'm best at coaching a professional style. If you want to do this, let's train really hard for, a few years. We'll see where you end up, and let's go straight to professional. So I agreed. And that's how I skipped an amateur career and started just straight at pro.
Do you know what? Your coach sounds very much like my old coach. It's amazing that he actually even took you on. But what do you think were the things that he was kind of, I don't know, just grappling with in terms of you being a female coming into the sport?
I think we formed kind of like a very tight bond, which I know you can form as well with like your male fighters, but it formed a daughter-father type of bond. And I think it was kind of like a deep, caring feeling that he had for me, where he also has 2 daughters. So he kind of looked at me as more of a daughter. And as much as I know he was kind of like apprehensive about just like me beginning to fight in general, I know he also saw me as a daughter figure, and probably was a little bit scared for me to get in there and potentially get hurt under his watch. So that probably had a lot to do with it too.
Yeah, and what I do like is that he was actually honest, because, as you may or may not know, although we have amateur boxing and we have professional boxing, they are literally 2 different sports. And what I like is the fact that he said, listen, that's not my bag, but this is my bag. So, hats off to him completely. What was it like for the guys in the gym? Were they a bit, I don't know, did they take you seriously? Put it that way.
Definitely not. That's something I had to earn. I had to earn that respect with them. I started off really slowly, but I did show up every day, and I showed them that I didn't care If I was going to do the same thing that they did every day, if we were doing sprints, if we were lifting, I was going to try to match their weight. I was going to try to match their speed. And there was nothing that was going to hold me back. I knew I had it in me. And it was time for me to prove to them that I had it in me. Eventually, that happened, and they don't hold back anymore, I'll tell you that.
But that's the mark of respect. I mean, amazingly, I think a lot of women that are very serious about the sport, they have to go through that initiation test like you have. And you've gone, do you know what? I'm going to match you. I'm going to do what you do, whether I fail or not, or whether I beat you guys or not, which is brilliant. So once you've kind of passed that, you get the hat tip, don't you?
Absolutely. And I did. And I earned it. And it feels damn good.
Yeah. It's brilliant to hear when women just go in and go, do you know what? I'm just going to keep this zipped and I'm just going to put the work in.
That's
Do you know
it.
what I mean?
No excuses. No one cares. No one wants to hear it. Everyone's here to work. So show up and do it.
It's true, you know. In my experience, they just want to get on with the training, men. They don't want any distractions in the gym.
That's it. So true. Absolutely true.
Yeah. So talk to me about the name. So your Team Hollywood, why is that?
That's actually something my coach came up with as well. Before I started training with him, I worked in the gym that we currently train in. I worked as, I made protein shakes at the juice bar downstairs. And, he used to stop by after each workout, and that's originally how I kind of met him. And he used to say to me, "What are you doing working here? You look like you belong in Hollywood." And that was it. And then it just kind of stuck every time he saw me. "Hey, Hollywood, how you doing? Hey, Hollywood." And so, it just kind of stuck.
Yeah, I like it. He's a bit charming though, isn't he?
Oh, he's the best.
Nice chat line. Yeah, it's actually really cool. I really like that. Yeah. I'd like to revisit some of the things that you were saying earlier on, how boxing has enhanced your life. Have you been able to, I don't know, share your experiences with people outside of boxing, but using boxing as a tool?
Yeah, so one thing that I really want to bring up, because it was something that I think has a lot to do with why I stuck around with it and why I started to begin with, was I was bullied a lot when I was younger, and girls were just really mean growing up, and I'm sure like everyone kind of goes through that and deals with it in some way, shape, or form. But I was followed home a lot, and I hated the way I felt. I used to like run home. I used to be horrified. My heart was just beating out of my chest. I can still feel the way that they made me feel, to the point where I actually almost didn't graduate high school because I was afraid to go to school every day. I hated the way I felt. I felt extremely insecure. I felt that people were constantly talking about me. Was I going to get followed home? Was someone going to put something in my backpack? Just like little things like that. But it's something that I knew I never wanted to feel again. And I never wanted to feel like I couldn't defend myself if I needed to. And I never wanted to feel like I didn't want people to dictate the way I felt about myself. So I know that from experience now, like as I got older and I kind of overcame a lot of those anxieties and insecurities, that a lot of girls and boys are feeling that same feeling at school. A lot of kids are getting bullied, and it's even worse now with cyberbullying. They have the internet now, and so, luckily for me, I was able to, come home and, close the door behind me and not have to worry about them coming in. Kids these days close the door behind them. They log onto their computers, and it just continues and continues and continues. And it's just such a sad, awful thing. So I feel like I kind of want to just like spread the word to kids, like get into a combat sport. It helps with self-confidence and belief and self-love. And that is so important. If we don't love ourselves, then we aren't able to love anyone else around us. So getting into a combat sport isn't always about, fighting or anger or aggression. It's about seeing really what you are made of and not letting anyone else tell you what you're made of, but you finding out for yourself. So that's something that I really find that I want to spread, awareness to people and kids and teens all around me, all over the world, really.
That's a really beautiful story. Firstly, I'd like to say thank you very much for sharing, because it's difficult, isn't it, if you're in the public eye, to open yourself up without people using it against you or ridiculing you for it. So I really commend you on that. That's the first thing. And you're absolutely right. The way that you've described boxing, some people just don't get it. And so even if they don't compete, just what the sport gives you, like you were saying, in terms of empowerment.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, you put it so beautifully, I don't even want to say anymore.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah. Do you know, I really feel like sometimes, you know, we go through those hardships and we can complain and moan about them, or we can turn them around and use them for a positive. And you most certainly are doing that.
Thank you very much. Going back to what you said about people sometimes using those things against you, like knowing that you have anxieties, it doesn't necessarily make you a weak person. But I know so during my last fight, my opponent came to the weigh-in and tried her absolute hardest to get in my head. She bullied me. She got a physical at the weigh-in, and tried her hardest to get in my head. And that was probably the most, it was so realistic to some of the feelings I felt as a kid of feeling bullied. And I was like, oh my goodness, like this is kind of like one of the bullies I faced as a kid. Like, this girl's coming and like saying all these really awful things to me and pushing me. And it almost brought me back. And I'm like, I need to do this this fight is for me. Like, I need to beat the shit out of the crap out of her. Sorry. Because it was,
be open on this platform, my friend.
So that, that's a perfect example of, I'm sure she kind of took a look at an interview about the fight, saw how I felt about it, saw that maybe, I was bullied in the past, had some insecurities, took advantage of that, tried to get into my head, but now I'm a different person and I've grown. Yeah. So unfortunately it didn't work for her.
What's amazing is sometimes we don't know, until we're put under pressure, how we're going to react. So number one, I don't know this lady, perhaps she used it, or she may have just, people try to sell a fight and they kind of overdo it and don't have a sense of what that might do to somebody else. Do you know what I mean?
Totally.
But it is brilliant that you've kind of gone, not today, bitch. I don't know if I can say that. So I guess it's all about you sort of getting into your zone mentally and not really bothering about what's going on over there. Do you know what I mean?
True. So true. So true. Yeah, that's such a good point. Like, basically just like focusing on yourself. Like, who cares what she's doing? Who cares what you have your game plan down. You're good. Like, you're ready.
Yeah. Because watching your fights back, I have to say that even though that you haven't had that much experience, there's so much potential. There's so much potential. There really is. And, just time will tell how that sort of develops. Do you know what I mean? Because what are you in, the lightweight division?
Yes.
Lightweight division. Oh, juicy division as well.
Yeah.
Oh, so who's your favourite fighter in that division?
Oh, I mean, I have to go with Katie Taylor. All day. Yeah. She's amazing. She is incredible. She is very inspiring.
Yeah. But there are some fantastic ladies at the moment just doing their thing. Have you had a chance to watch any of the Matchroom? I know you guys, sorry, any American viewers, I know you have your shows as well, but have you managed to see any of the Matchroom cards?
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, yeah, Matchroom's up there with some of the best promotions. So I love Matchroom cards. I thought it was so Eddie Hearn in his backyard. I'm like, geez, say a backyard. I'm like, it's sick. But yeah, no, the Matchroom cards have been fantastic. I can't wait for them to return.
Oh, listen, neither can we, trust me. I mean, it's been so hard. You get to Saturday night and the only thing that's getting me through is Drag Race, trust me. That's the only thing it is literally the only thing that's getting me through at the minute. So talking about the 13th of March, is that in your hometown or do you have to travel somewhere to get to that fight?
I have to travel north, probably about like 25 minutes. Not too bad, but it's actually better to travel north than it is south, because if I go south, I go through the city, go through Boston, and you know how traffic getting through like London or Manchester, any of those places are. So it's better to travel north for me. But it's actually a no fans show, which is pretty sad. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is right now. I'm just grateful to have the opportunity. So, soon we'll be back to live shows and it'll be good.
So talking about no fans, because you have got quite a big following, haven't you? How are you going to cope with that then?
I think I might do well actually about on it. I was curious because I do like to feed off of the crowd. I like having my family and my friends there. They're great. They're a great support system. I have a great one. But I've also been working on trying to slow down a little bit and listen to my coach. And so for that reason, I think this will be a great learning experience, and I'll be able to really listen to him and understand what he's saying and be able to process it all. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes.
To be honest, I think what's going to be great about this is, so the alternative is, I guess when the amateurs have been at competitions far away and there's nobody turns up, they've already had that experience. But because you haven't been in the amateurs, you haven't had that experience. So I guess the positive, because I always try to find the positive in a situation, is that you're going to now experience that and know how you perform under those circumstances. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. I'm thinking it's going to be similar, since like you said, I've never experienced that before. I can really compare it to is a sparring match, right? So just like a much bigger, more important sparring match.
Yeah it's actually a good way to look at it. It's a good way to look at it, because in sparring you're just getting on with it and you're almost not aware of the eyes that are on you. Yes. Do you know what I'm saying?
Less pressure, hey.
Yeah. So listen, I'd like to say, number one, thank you very much for giving me your time. Secondly, please God, come back after the fight. Will you do that for us?
Oh, absolutely. I'm so thankful that you guys had me on and gave me an opportunity to share my story and get my name out there a little more. And I really appreciate you guys having me on.
If you like this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber of Shadowboxruk UK, we'd love to see you. So please go ahead and subscribe now.